Marcus Hill woke up every morning before the sun, not because he loved early hours, but because life had trained him that way. At 34, Marcus was a black single father living in a small second-floor apartment above a quiet grocery store on Maple Street. The apartment wasn't fancy, peeling paint near the windows, a refrigerator that hummed louder than it should, but it was clean, warm, and filled with the one thing Marcus cared about more than anything else: his 7-year-old daughter, Lila. Every morning followed the same rhythm. Marcus would gently knock on Lila's bedroom door and whisper, "Rise and shine, star girl." Lila would groan, pull the blanket over her head, then peek out with a sleepy smile. He'd help her tie her shoes, pack her lunch, always with a little note drawn in marker, and walk her 2 blocks to school before heading to work. Marcus worked as a facilities assistant at a mid-sized office building downtown. His job wasn't glamorous. He fixed broken chairs, replaced light bulbs, cleaned conference rooms after meetings, and made sure the building ran smoothly. People often passed him without a glance. Some nodded politely. A few knew his name. Most didn't. But Marcus took pride in his work. He wore his uniform neatly, kept his tools organized, and treated everyone with quiet respect. He believed that how you did small things said a lot about who you were. At home, Marcus was both mother and father. Lila's mother, Renee, had passed away when Lila was just 2 years old after a sudden illness. Marcus rarely spoke about that time, not because he didn't feel the pain, but because he didn't want Lila to grow up wrapped in sadness. Instead, he focused on building routines, laughter, and safety. On weekends, they visited the public library, cooked simple meals together, and sat on the fire escape watching the street below. Lila liked to ask questions, lots of them. "Daddy, why do you work so much?" she once asked, swinging her legs. Marcus smiled. "So you can have choices." "What kind of choices?" He thought for a moment. "The kind where you get to decide who you want to be." Life wasn't easy, but it was honest. Bills were paid just on time. Shoes were bought on sale. Dreams were tucked away carefully, like fragile things that might break if handled too roughly. At work, Marcus kept his head down. He had learned long ago that not everyone saw him the same way. Still, he believed effort mattered. He believed kindness mattered. And most of all, he believed his daughter was watching everything he did. The trouble began quietly. Marcus's boss, Victor Crane, had taken over building management 6 months earlier. Victor was in his early 40s, sharply dressed, always wearing a confident smile that never quite reached his eyes. He liked control, he liked being noticed, and he liked reminding people where they stood. At first, Victor barely acknowledged Marcus. Then, slowly, things changed. "Marcus," Victor would say in meetings, tapping his pen, "make sure the conference room is spotless. We have important people coming." Marcus always nodded. "Yes, sir." But soon, the requests became comments. And the comments became looks. One afternoon, Marcus was replacing a light fixture when Victor leaned against the doorway, watching him. "You ever think about doing more?" Victor asked casually. Marcus wiped his hands. "I'm doing my best here." Victor smiled. "Sure you are." The tone lingered, uncomfortable but unclear. The moment that stayed with Marcus happened late on a Friday. The office was nearly empty. Marcus was organizing supplies when Victor stepped closer than usual. He lowered his voice and smirked. "Want a look?" Marcus froze. He didn't know what Victor meant. Was it a joke? A test? A reminder of power? Victor gestured toward the executive floor. Glass offices, leather chairs, a world Marcus only entered to clean. "Some people see opportunity," Victor said. "Others just see work." Then he walked away, leaving Marcus standing there, heart pounding. That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He replayed the moment again and again. Not because of what was said, but because of what it implied. He felt small, measured, judged. Over the next few weeks, the tension grew. Victor questioned Marcus's work more often. Tasks were reassigned without explanation. Marcus felt watched. At home, Lila noticed the change. "You're quiet," she said one evening, pushing peas around her plate. "Just tired," Marcus replied. But it wasn't just tiredness. It was the feeling of being trapped between dignity and survival. He needed the job. He needed stability. But he also needed to look at himself in the mirror. Marcus began to wonder if working hard was enough, or if the world expected more from him than effort. Marcus decided the first thing he could do was improve himself, not to impress Victor, but to strengthen his own confidence. He started staying late, learning how the building systems worked. He asked the IT technician to show him basic maintenance software. He borrowed books from the library on workplace communication and leadership. After Lila went to bed, Marcus studied quietly at the kitchen table. At work, he spoke up more, respectfully, clearly. When Victor made comments, Marcus didn't react emotionally. He stayed calm. One morning, Marcus requested a meeting. "I'd like to talk about growth opportunities," he said. Victor raised an eyebrow. "You think you're ready?" "I think I'm capable," Marcus replied evenly. Victor leaned back. "We'll see." Nothing changed immediately, but Marcus kept going. He applied for an internal certification program offered by the building's parent company. It meant extra hours and unpaid training, but Marcus saw it as an investment. Some coworkers noticed. "You're really pushing," said Anna, a receptionist. "That takes courage." Marcus smiled. "Just trying to build something better." Still, Victor's presence loomed. During inspections, Victor hovered. During conversations, he tested Marcus's patience. But Marcus refused to shrink. At home, he shared small victories with Lila. "I learned something new today," he told her. She grinned. "That's my dad." Marcus realized that every step he took wasn't just for himself, it was teaching his daughter what quiet strength looked like. The turning point came unexpectedly. One evening, the building lost power during a storm. Employees panicked. Systems went down. Victor was nowhere to be found. Marcus took charge. Not because he wanted attention, but because someone had to act. He coordinated with emergency services, guided employees safely, and restored basic operations. When Victor finally arrived, soaked and flustered, he saw the calm order Marcus had created. The next day, Marcus was called into Victor's office. "I underestimated you," Victor said stiffly. Marcus listened quietly. "That night, you handled things well," Victor continued. "The certification program, you passed." Marcus nodded. "Thank you." Victor paused. "When I said, 'want a look,' I meant the bigger picture." "I should have explained." Marcus met his eyes. Words matter. For a moment, Victor looked uncomfortable. Then he sighed. "You're right." It wasn't an apology, but it was acknowledgement. Later that week, Marcus received a promotion offer, Junior Operations Coordinator. It wasn't a miracle, but it was progress. Marcus went home and hugged Lila tightly. "What happened?" she asked. "Someone finally saw me," Marcus said. She smiled. "I always see you." Life didn't suddenly become perfect. Marcus still budgeted carefully. He still woke up early. But his days felt lighter. At work, Marcus had a desk now. People asked his opinion. He trained others. Victor kept his distance, respectful, cautious. At home, Marcus and Lila celebrated with homemade pizza. "You did it," Lila said proudly. "We did it," Marcus corrected. He started mentoring younger workers, encouraging them to learn, to speak up, to believe in their worth. One afternoon, Marcus passed the executive floor, not to clean, but to attend a meeting. He paused for a moment, remembering how small he once felt. Then he walked in, head high. Marcus's journey wasn't about proving someone wrong. It was about refusing to let someone else define his value. The moral of his story is simple but powerful. Dignity doesn't come from position, it comes from character. When the world tests you with silence, pressure, or unclear intentions, respond with clarity, effort, and self-respect. Growth takes time. Recognition isn't always immediate, but when you stay true to who you are, people notice. And even if they don't, your children do. Marcus taught Lila, not through speeches, but through actions, that strength can be quiet, progress can be slow, and self-worth should never be negotiated. Because sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is stand still, breathe, and choose not to shrink, no matter who's watching.